All right, and welcome back to the Chicago Clubhouse Podcast. As you know, this is the sports podcast where we think we know what we're talking about, but we really don't know shit. Once again, my name is Emilio Bucks, and joining me once again is the lady, Miss Kristen Petit. And rounding out the trio again is Southside's own, the notorious TNic.
What's up?
Or he's still rocking with that. I see. Okay.
He called my sweatshirt JJ Fad, and he looks
it. His old school is old school, but not like old enough to be cool yet. But okay, so let's do something a little bit different today. We're going to start off with some baseball. Personally, my favorite sport, and we got some playoff action going on both sides of town for the first time in a very long time. And so, we had some disappointing outcomes, but Sox unable to clinch today. But what did you see bad and good out there today, TNic?
Well, I saw that Tim Anderson actually had a decent game. Yeah, he's still putting his bat on the ball, and that's what we need going forward. Everybody just needs to put the bat on the ball, and our bullpen has to step up. Giolito, of course, he looks good. He always looked good, actually. He had a really good game the other day. So, I mean,
Keiko got touched up pretty bad today.
Oh yeah, he got roughed up. He got roughed up today. Hopefully he can bounce back from that, because I'm sure he's gonna start another game if they have more games, and hopefully they do.
Okay, so you're confident that they're going to take tomorrow's game and we're going to see another.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. And on the other side of town, on the north side of town, Cubs drop one today to Miami. Our resident Cubs aficionado, the lady Kristen Petit. What did you see out there with your Cubbies?
I saw Kyle Hendricks, who was a little uncharacteristic. He hit a batter. He walked 3. He was kept in the game too long. 7th inning, 100 pitches, gave up a 3-run home run. You can't do that with this anemic offense, and so I don't blame him. And then Jeffers came in, and he promptly gave up a 2-run home run. So they're down 5-1. I blame David Ross. You know your pitcher. You know Kyle Hendricks has never been one who could go for a long time in the game, especially at over 100 pitches. Now, when he's done those games where he could a complete game with only 80 pitches, well, fine. That means in the 7th, he probably only had 50 or 60. You can keep him in there. 100 pitches, 7th inning? No. So that's on David Ross. Yeah. And then, the great David Ross, who still hasn't fixed situational hitting. But anyway, then these hitters, they're embarrassing. I mean, they are an embarrassment. Javi Baez makes the MLB 2K cover and is garbage.
I mean, so, he might have the curse. Is there
I think so. And then, they're saying, well, he's the type who needs the roar of the crowd or whatever. Get over it, okay? You haven't had a crowd for 60 games, and you're not going to have one.
Hey,
so you either put an earpiece in with some crowd noise, put on an earpiece, do something.
I mean, Javi, he PR, he Boricua, he need that.
Well,
he need that crowd. He need to see the ladies out in the bleachers. You know what I'm saying?
Then you opt out. If that's what you need, you opt out.
I mean,
but I'm not even gonna blame it all.
It's a crazy time. It's
whatever. It has been so crazy for the White Sox who can hit.
Right. Well, the Sox winning is kind of crazy.
But I mean, they can hit.
Right.
It hasn't affected their hitting. Like Rizzo,
I'm a White Sox fan, but they are used to playing in front of nobody.
That is true.
I mean,
very true.
Just keep it honest. This is their game.
That is very true. I didn't always get used to that. Yeah.
Every game is a home game for my boys.
Yeah. But like, Anthony Rizzo, he drops 25 pounds and all his power and all his hitting ability went with that.
Like, dude, what happened? I missed it. Did he become a vegan or something?
I don't know, but he needs a
Oh
steak.
my God.
Whatever it is, he needs steak and potatoes because he lost weight and he just has no power. Chris Bryant, Ian Happ hit a home run today. He's the only one doing something. And if he is doing something, you're in trouble.
Yeah, because he just usually kind of picks it up when the other guys are struggling. Like Anthony Rizzo, like I don't understand. Like, dude, you're a power 300 hitter, like, or like
he's striking out a lot,
or like, and then he didn't even get a new uniform to fit him to even kind of hide the weight loss. He kept the same uniform, so he looked a little crazy.
David Ross makes a defensive replacement in the 7th inning, so you're down 3-0. You don't even have Schwarber coming up. You have Billy Hamilton in the game.
Hey.
It's like his managerial decisions were
Robin Ventura Part 2. Good luck with that, Cubs fans. All right, so let's move it on to the NFL and our Chicago Bears, our 3-0 Chicago Bears. Let's not talk about how they get the 3-0, but we're gonna have to. But they're 3-0. Most importantly, going into our next game Sunday against the Indianapolis Colts, we're going against the number 1 pass defense in the league. How is Nick Foles, a passing quarterback? He's not mobile like Mitch. He's a passing pocket quarterback. How is he going to fare against that defense, TNic?
Man, that offensive line has to hold up. They've been doing okay. They've been doing all right. But it has to hold up with Nick Foles because he's not going to run anywhere. That's for sure. The running game has to step up. I mean, they've been doing okay. They fell off a little bit against Atlanta, but the running game has to be established in order to open up passing lanes. So it has to be established.
So you're putting the onus on the running game for Nick Foles' success, but like, so Kristen, where are you thinking, like, what is Nick Foles gonna need to do? What is he gonna need from his blockers against this pass defense to be effective? And to, for us that applauded him replacing Mitchell Trubisky, rest in peace, Mitchell Trubisky.
Still alive. He is still alive.
I mean, I said era. I meant.
Wait, hold on.
I meant. Okay.
Let's go back. Let's go back. Because when you said that you're putting the onus on the running game, you didn't let me explain why. I'm putting the onus on the running game so it can open up the passing lanes. I don't want to sound crazy. Like I'm saying, well, the running game has to be established in order for Nick Foles to fare against the defense. So
that's what it sounded like you said.
Huh?
That's what it sounded like you said.
I mean,
fine.
I wanna explain why, so I don't sound crazy.
I mean, it's a little too late for that. All right, fine. TNic, please explain why. Hey, we have children watching, TNic. Please explain what you wanted to explain.
The running game, the ground game has to be established. I say that because we have to keep their defense on their toes. So they don't know what we're going to do. They know Nick Foles is a passing quarterback, but if we get our run game established, then the defense is like, shit, what are they going to do? So they don't know if they're going to line everybody up in the box. They don't know if they're going to keep everybody out looking for the pass. So if we get our run game established, then we're keeping them on their toes. They don't necessarily know what we're going to do. And then we won't be so predictable as we usually are.
So you're telling me we didn't know that's what you meant? when you said the run game needs to be
Some
established.
people might not. Some people might not.
Okay. Well, fine. I'm sorry, TNic. Okay. So speaking of the run game, Tariq Cohen goes down with a devastating season-ending injury. Speaking of, run game, I was gonna bring it back to you, TNic. So how does that affect the effectiveness of the run game that you're mentioning, like how important the run game is going to be for Nick Foles without Tariq Cohen? What are we
Well,
looking at here?
Tariq Cohen was actually more than just a gadget guy. Um, yeah, he was more than just a gadget guy. So it's really going to hurt the running game. But Cordero, did I say it right? Cordero?
Just Cordero.
Cordero.
Cordero?
Just Cordero.
Cordero. I'm sorry. He's gonna have to step his little game up. But he was actually doing okay in Detroit, and then against New York here in Chicago. He fell off a little bit in Atlanta. But
Really? Well, I thought he was.
Not running
Honestly,
well. He didn't do well.
I feel like they could probably give him a few more touches when
yeah,
when he's coming out of the backfield, because if your touches are so limited, obviously, like, the ratio kind of gets skewed as far as, your effectiveness and whatnot. So how will, the issue with the run game, Cohen is out, play calling, regardless of what the running backs do, they have to get that play called. How do you think that is going to affect the play calling? Maybe them going in not having quite the same amount of confidence in the run game with Cohen being out, Kristen. Like, how do you think that might affect what they do with that?
Well, here's my thing with the run game. I'm not going to say for sure it's going to go away, but think back to last year when Coach Nagy, sorry, his name is Nagy, when Coach Nagy really wanted to run his offense. How much running did they do? Not much. That's why we complained about it. So this year, when Coach Nagy thought that it was going to just be Mitch, he put in the run game. That also made the offensive line look a little better. Now, Nagy has who he really wanted, who he's always wanted, Nick Foles, who is this system quarterback and a system quarterback. He has him. So I don't know how much they're going to run anyway. I'm not going to predict like, oh, they're never going to run again. But I won't be shocked if the run game becomes completely different. And I don't know if the Bears have the offensive line to do what they want to do, because they did not last year. That's why, another reason why it usually worked better when they ran, because this line is probably more suited for blocking the run game. Nick Foles, that last touchdown, he got hit. He was under duress most of the game, and so was Mitch. Like, they're under duress a lot of times. So and with Tariq being gone, even when you have the pass game in Matt Nagy's offense, he's a key part to it. Now, Matt Nagy's going to open up and do some things that he hadn't done. Like, he promised a 2 tight end set. We've been wondering what happened to that. Remember, I brought it up last week. What happened to Tariq Cohen? He got paid. They'd let him run the ball once, then you didn't see him anymore for much of anything. And he caught a screen, but then he got hurt and all that. So it's going to be interesting to see what Nagy does now, because he has who he wants.
Okay, so what do you think, TNic? How much do you think the injury to Cohen is going to affect? Because let's be honest, like, yeah, they brought in the OC and all of that, but we know who's still pulling the strings on the play call. You know what I mean? How do you think that's going to affect Nagy's play calling?
Nagy.
Nagy.
Well, I mean, like I said, it's gonna hurt a little bit because you don't have that little quick shifty back. Um, but like I said, Cordero. I'm sorry.
For that to be your guy,
Hopefully,
Bro, that
hopefully,
sounds like some
hopefully he
eczema
gets some more
medicine.
touches. Hopefully he gets some more touches, and he can step the game up and pick up the slack.
Yeah.
and
Go ahead, Kristen.
no, I was saying it can't hurt to give him more.
Yeah, I agree. I think they could use him more. Last year I thought they could have used him as a tight end a little bit more, but hey, I don't know shit, obviously. So let's switch over to the other side of the ball. The defense. We're going up against Phillip Rivers. We saw him last season. Can they show up for more than one quarter, TNic? Can we get more from them?
Please, I want them to show up for the whole game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they have to. They have to show up for more than one quarter. You're absolutely right. Because the Colts ain't no slouch. They're 2-1. And Phillip Rivers will throw that thing. And they got T.Y. Hilton, their other bruising wide receiver. He's out, Michael Pittman. And they have Jonathan Taylor at running back. So,
And it's a revenge game for Trey Burton. It's his revenge game.
Trey Burton.
He's returning.
Ooh. Whoa.
People love revenge games against these Bears.
I mean, he hasn't said anything, but they say he's returning. So, and you know how things work out for Chicago fans.
They better game plan for Trey Burton, boy.
Yeah, better.
You better, because he is going to try to get off the same way Alshon did, the same way Cedric Benson looked like he had a Texas helmet on when he played against.
All we're gonna see is Danny Trevathan's name when Trey Burton catches that ball over the middle, and Danny Trevathan has to chase him down
with that goddamn piano on his back or whatever. Like he's.
So come here, boy.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Adrian Peterson had a good game. Ty Gurley had a decent game.
Yeah.
Some no names.
When Trey Burton was here and healthy, he was good.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just like people just love revenge games against the Bears. Like, I don't know. That says something about ownership in the culture or whatever.
You just always want to.
Trey Burton having like this great game against the Bears.
You don't see it.
He may not, but I mean, it's just another storyline.
And I mean, while we're on defense, we're going to bring in somebody, a special guest tonight who's going to give us some insight on the defensive side of the ball. All right, and this week we have Football Dad joining us, and he's going to give us a little insight on what he's seen the last few weeks and what he feels needs to happen this Sunday against the Indianapolis Colts. How you doing there, Football Dad? Welcome to the clubhouse.
Thank you. I'm well. How are you guys?
Good, sir. Always a pleasure, sir. So let's jump right in. I happen to know you're a guy who's big on defense. And, as a Bear fan, defense has always been our calling card. And there's some questions around the defense right now. So what are you feeling like needs to happen with this defense to really get some pressure on Phillip Rivers? He's got a really quick release. And, I mean, really, I just haven't seen enough pressure on any of the quarterbacks we played. So what's going to have to happen?
Well, Mr. Bucks, what'll have to happen is better three technique on our interior line play. Our defensive tackles are going to have to be able to fill the gap between the center and the guard. That's the three technique, or the head up on the center. We're going to have to do better with that. Additionally, we're going to have to really work with Mr. Mack and his outside pressure and his outside leverage. A lot of time he's getting out leveraged. And so even though he's fast to getting around the corner.
Thank you. So
he
wait,
cannot-
hold on. I'm
he's
sorry.
getting-
Sorry to interrupt. Sorry to interrupt. Did I just hear you say that Khalil Mack is getting out leveraged? The people want to know. Speak on it.
I'll speak on it. Out leveraged in the fact that he's getting pushed away from the play. So he is fast enough to get around him. He gets around the guy all the time, and does it very well. 9 times out of 10, they recognize that he's going to be pushing upfield. That's what that's called. And so they just run so that tackle can push him. We call it taking him where he wants to go. He wants to go upfield, take him upfield. I'm just going to let him go where he wants to go, and I'm going to let him glide on out there. A lot of times
that saying that maybe the NFL has figured Khalil Mack out and just say like, all right, you got past me just enough, so let me just help you go where you're going, and gives him that extra half second. Has he been figured out?
No, I don't think he's been figured out. He's an athlete. I think what's been figured out is that we only have one good defensive tackle. And when we only have one good defensive tackle, that leaves everybody else to be a good one-on-one or a two-on-one on our great outside linebackers. We don't have to have a tackle guard or even a tackle or a guard to chip on any one of our defensive tackles. So we give free reign for the opportunity of the double team and the opportunity to let Khalil go where he wants to go. So he's got to run, 28 yards to try to get 10.
Yeah, and I just, how long can that guy keep that up? And I just feel like I haven't quite seen him.
I think he's going to be able to keep it up, but I also think that we figured out something last week with our defensive switches in our tackle play. So if you noticed on third down, Hicks would come back in, but there was another guy, I can't remember his name, he came with him. And so that recognition of who needs to be in those situational pass plays, I think is going to play a little bit better to our outside edge. Once we get good 3 technique and 2 technique tackle play, right? So 2 technique, I'm between the guard and the tackle. 3 technique, and then 3 technique, I'm either between the center and the guard head up. And if I'm able to do that, then I'm able to get pressure on the interior line. That line collapses in, pocket is smaller. Now Khalil, who had to run 108 miles to get back to the backside of the quarterback, he's able to do that because the quarterback is getting pressure in his face. Once that happens, then we see the strips and stuff like that.
That was a mouthful, football dad.
So then basically what you're saying is the defensive line has to show up in order for Khalil to make that turn and get to Phillip Rivers, right?
Well, the D line specifically, the D tackles need to show up. Quinn has done an okay job. You got to understand, in the 3-4 scheme that we run, you really only have 2 real down, 3 in the ground linemen. You have 2 D tackles, right?
I don't understand that, but yes.
You have 2 D tackles. You have Robert Quinn, who they consider a DN, right? Then you have Khalil Mack, who they consider an outside linebacker. So if those 2 D tackles, and these guys are big dudes, right? They move mountains. They're a lot of human, right? If those 2 guys aren't creating enough pressure to take up double teams and triple teams, we leave the opportunity for tight end rubs. So that's when the tight end will rub on a Khalil Mack.
I've done a couple of tight end rubs.
Just enough bump that he has to, hey, this is what it's,
I'm sorry.
This is what it's called out here on the field.
Yeah.
So we'll give him just enough bump.
Look, don't mess with football, Dad, with your shenanigans.
So, it gets crazy.
I mean, come on. You say tight end rub. What am I?
Hey,
What am I supposed to
what are we supposed to
Oh,
do?
man,
What am I supposed to do?
that.
All right. So,
Oh
I
my
mean,
Like gold.
man.
I mean, okay. You've talked a lot about the defensive line. Now, speaking of defensive line, like, I'm starting to see it's not as bad as Mel Tucker's defense at all, but like I'm starting to see some shades of this team not being able to stop the run against kind of like average at best running backs. I mean, we had a geriatric, you know, Adrian Peterson run up a lot of yards on us. We saw like Todd Gurley looked like Todd Gurley from like 2018 for on a couple of plays. You know, I don't know, like what's going on with not being, is Eddie Goldman that valuable?
Okay, so we're gonna take the next step up level. So we just talked about the D line. Now we're gonna talk about the linebackers.
Okay.
Running back play is predicated a lot on the D line, but it's also predicated on the linebackers. It's something we call alignment and assignment. So you have to be aligned in the correct place for the correct play, and then you have to know your correct assignment for that play. Those are
Is
two
that
things
what the
I've seen.
linebackers aren't doing? Are they just stupid? Like what does that mean? Like they don't know where to be?
They are not. Sometimes I wouldn't call them stupid, but sometimes Roquan
I mean, they're
is
football
not
players.
recognizing. You know, tomato. Is not recognizing.
I kid football players. I kid.
Jokes. He's not recognizing quick enough the alignment and the assignment of that play. Okay. So with that, it's very difficult for the second, because remember, we were a 3-4 defense. So that means that we have 4 linebackers, but those 2 linebackers that are on the line are really glorified DNs. And the 2 guys that are back behind them, Danny Trevathan and Roquan, are roaming linebackers. They need to be able to slip and hit a hole. Well, if our D line can't occupy more than 2 guys, is getting handled by 1 offensive player, and our linebackers are not in the exact, because we only got 2 of them, right? We only got 2 guys back there. We're not a 4-3 defense where we have 3 athletic linebackers who can cover all types of field and be everywhere. Our 2 guys need to be in exact spot every time. Alignment and assignment. They have to be in the right spot. And a lot of times with Detroit and not so much with Atlanta, but definitely with Detroit, we were just aligned wrong. So the moment a linebacker has to cross the face of another linebacker, well, I can't get there, right?
Kind of like some confusion.
And that's what was happening.
Like confusion. Yeah. Like some Three Stooges shit going on back there with those guys. So like, all right, man. Well, you gave us a lot to chew on. A lot. You know, those tight end rubs have got to, happen.
Gotta stop them.
We stopped the tight end rubs? I thought
we want to stop the tight end rubs. Only on
okay,
Friday.
Well, hey man, like
tight end rubs.
So tight end rubs. Hey, football dad, you gave us a lot. I understood much of it. And I would just like to thank you for coming and joining us in the clubhouse this week, and go Bears. And I'm sure you'll be in the thread on Sunday. And
I will be in the thread on Sunday.
Thank you again, sir.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Got to push through it. You know what I mean? Like, do some meth before the show.
Hey, yeah, I might.
Look, Kristen, I got some Drano and
I'm okay.
and some other stuff. I can make like old school like biker meth. I think I got a recipe offline. I don't do meth. So I don't know. Okay. I get very weird. Okay, and once again, back with the Chicago Clubhouse, and thank you to Football Dad for joining us and giving us some much needed insight on things football, that because we don't know shit, and he seems to know too much. But anyway, so let's move on and let's talk about just our predictions. And let's do something different. Let's talk about predictions because we got some games tomorrow. We got some White Sox tomorrow. They're going to clinch or go home. And we got the Cubs who are going to play another day or go home. So, as our resident White Sox fan, TNic, what is your prediction on the Cubs?
Whoa.
You like how I did that?
Yeah, that was kind of cool. That was clever.
No, I flipped it on
The
you.
Cubs are like perennial chokers. So
I mean, you know.
Well, you know what? You know why you don't know anything about choking is because you don't win as the Sox. You guys haven't been in the playoffs since what is this? 2000.
Hey, it was in the 2000s.
So I mean, unless you're choking second to last place, I mean, you know.
Yeah,
all right. Anyway,
she
so yeah, she got no feelings. But I hate to say it. I don't see the Cubs winning tomorrow. Probably like maybe 4-1, 3-0 maybe.
So you don't think those bats are going to come alive at all?
No.
Like, I mean,
No.
they've struggled this year with hitting.
No.
Okay, or so like as assumed, TNic is saying the Cubs are going to catch that L tomorrow. Kristen, our resident Cubs fan, what is your prediction on the White Sox tomorrow?
You know, the White Sox, they came alive in the 8th and 9th inning this game today, or was this? Yeah, this is Wednesday. The Wednesday's game. So I predict that they will win and they will move on. I'm not sure who they'll face, but I predict that they'll win because of their bats. As of right now, I don't know who's pitching for them, so I can't say if the pitching will be any good. I don't even know who's pitching for the A's. But those bats, like, they're never out of the game. So I predict that the Sox move on.
You know, it reminds me a lot of that 16 Cubs team that won it all. Like, you know, with those bats were heavy, and it was like no matter how late it was in the game, how many runs they were back, like they still had a shot. And we saw that today. You know what I mean? They were just probably like, you know, 1 out away from actually taking that game today. So you know, and I heard somebody say, it was an announcer for the Sox first game. I don't remember what scrub they had announcing, but he said, like, you know, it's important to, you know, have your bats alive at the end of the game so you can carry that on to the next game. So we saw that game one. The A's came alive at the end. Still only scored 1 run, but you saw the bats become alive at the end, and then right away today they were on it. You know, they were all over Dallas Keuchel today. So, like, hopefully we'll see some of that tomorrow. The Sox bats woke up in the end, and hopefully tomorrow they'll be awake right in the beginning of that. So my prediction is Sox win, Cubs win, just because they're going to give us one more game at the very least of Chicago Cub baseball. As a resident Sox fan, I still want the Cubs to win as long as they're not beating the Sox. So, all right, now keeping on with the theme of predictions, football, we got Indianapolis on Sunday. Where are you at on that, TNic? What is your prediction?
21-14 Bears.
So you have the Bears scoring in the Mitch Trubisky realm, even with Nick Foles.
Well, yeah, I do see Nick Foles throwing that ball, and they're going to score. I mean, it's going to be a scoring game, but not a high scoring game.
Okay.
So yeah, 21-14. I see.
Okay, it seems like any game the Bears win is not going to be a high scoring game.
No.
Yeah. They're not Kansas City. They're not Baltimore, whatever. But Kristen, where are you at on your prediction for the Bears?
I have them winning 24-17. I have one defensive touchdown for the Bears. Because Philip Rivers will give you the ball.
He will. He will. All right. So Kristen has the Bears winning. TNic has the Bears winning. Hey, look, I'm gonna pick the Bears. You know, Indianapolis is not like that tough of a team. Philip Rivers, like you said, Kristen, will give you the ball. He's an up and down winner, you know, experienced, but not a great quarterback at this time in his career. So I'm going to take the Bears. I'm going to go 32-19 Bears. 32-19.
They get a safety?
Maybe. Might be a 2-point conversion.
Oh, yeah.
It might be a least common denominator. You know, it might be a mixed number. It's algebraic. It's football. And with that being said, go Bears, go Sox, go Cubs, go Bulls and Blackhawks. And signing off.
Chicago.
Can I say one thing before we sign off?
Absolutely.
I seem to remember that you all gave me shit when I said that Nick Foles was going to come in, whether the Bears had a winning record or not, and come in and take over the game and win.
I don't remember that.
You don't remember that? Remember when you asked me, so what kind of record would the Bears have? And I said, maybe 1-1.
Week 1, you said game 6.
Yeah, right. I did say game 6. I said maybe up to game 6.
All right. Well, you know, all right. Yeah, well, you know, Tina, we're gonna give you shit with most anything you say.
It's
just kind of.
Well, congratulations on getting your prediction correct.
All right, you were right.
You know, I'm not looking for.
I mean, you're looking for something.
Why would you not validation?
I'm more or less looking for. Damn, you know what, TNic, you did give you shit. My bad.
Is that not validation? All right, TNic.
Now I'm saying nothing.
We did give you shit. You know, fine. So
that's all right. That's what we do on the show. We give you just shit.
Yeah, because we don't know shit.
Right.
So now if I can continue signing off, I've said what I had to say. And we will see you all next week. And signing off, once again, this is Emilio Bucks on behalf of the lady Kristen Petite and Southside's own notorious TNic, Chicago Clubhouse Podcast signing off.